There can only be one winner, and you're looking at him. Let's go.
YouTube Revolution beginning is coming December 31st. Oh my Jesus. Junk Destroyer, Doom Caliber Knight, Miracle Fusion, Karakuri Shogun. This is a quick sneak peek of all of the super rare and ultra rare cards. Let's get to it. What we're going to talk about is Fabled, Karakuri, Junk Destroyer, General Synchros, Iron Chain, Dark Worlds, all the ultra rare super rare cards, other cards, and Kokamiru. Let's start with Fabled. So starting with Fabled, right away, the good Fabled cards are going to be Ultra Rare Cerebral, Ultra Rare Grimro, Super Rare Raijin, Super Rare Raven. Okay, I believe that is it for the Fableds. Let's talk about it on here. Fableds. Cerebral. If this card is discarded to the graveyard, special summon it. It's a level 2 tuner. You want to use this card with your Ganashio. Ganashio is a card we already have. When it's discarded by anything, by cost or card effect, you could use a card like Snipe Hunter, which discards for cost, to special summon both of these on the field. And then with level 2 tuner and level 3, you can make Fabled Raijin. Fabled Raijin is Pot of Greed. Pot of Greed, you all know what that card does. Draw 2 cards. How does that work? It works because if you have 0 cards in your hand on Synchro Summon, you draw 2. You draw until you have 2 cards in your hand. If you have 1 card in your hand, you draw 1. The combo is to summon it and then summon it again. You could summon this in two times in 1 turn, draw 4 cards because it's not a once per turn effect. Now, how do we make the deck consistent? Through cards like Grimro. Grimro, you could discard this card if you control face-up Fable to search for your Cerebral or your Ganashia. Very cool. Then we have cards like Raven. Raven, once per turn, you could discard any number of cards from your hand. If you do, it gains a level for each card discarded and 400 attack for each card discarded until the end of this turn. This card works with Dark Worlds. So we all know Dark World Bro, for example. If you discard Bro, you draw a card. If you discard Bro with Snipe Hunter, you don't get its effect. This is discard by cost. This is discard by card effect. And a card like Cerebral doesn't care if it's discarded by effect or cost. So you can also use cards like Divine Wrath. Divine Wrath is discard a card as the cost to negate a monster effect. That's something else. Kushano. You could discard a Fabled monster while this is in the graveyard to add it to your hand. It's a level 3 tuner. I don't really recommend it. Raven's pretty decent, even though I'm not playing it in my deck. Crush. When this card is discarded, you could select a level 4 lower Fabled monster in your graveyard, except this card special summon it. So a combo could be normal summon Raven, discard Grimro, search for Crust, discard Crust with your Raven to then use Crust to special summon Grimro onto the field. Now he's a level 3 and Grimro's level 4. You can make a level 7 Synchro. You could make your Ancient Sacred Wyvern. Ancient Sacred Wyvern requires a light tuner plus 1 or more non-tuner monsters. While your life points is higher than your opponent, you gain attack equal to the difference. So what you do with this is, for example, there's an open field. Follow me with this. You have a Cerebral on the field and an Ancient Sacred Wyvern on the field. You attack directly with Cerebral. That's just 1,000 attack. Then you gain 1,000 attack because you dealt 1,000. Now he goes up to 3,100. This makes Ancient Sacred Wyvern and Cerebral an OTK. You attack with a smaller monster, get that boost, finish him off. But it has the downside. When you're losing, your attack is lowered. So if your life points is lower than your opponent, you lose the difference in attack. You could pay 1,000 to special summon this card back on the field if you would like. Now, the other boss Synchro monster of Fabled is Fabled Valkyrus. I don't think you'll really summon this. It's level 8. It's not as easy to summon as Raijin, but if you do summon it, you could discard a Fiend to draw a card. This is a cost to discard, so you can't discard a Dark World, for example. But the problem with this, it's discard a Fiend, not discard a Fabled. And not all Fabled monsters are Fiend. For example, your Cerebral and your Ganashia are both a beast, so it does not even work with that. Fabled Chawa is an interesting card. During your main phase, you could discard 1 Fabled monster and special summon this card from your hand. So this is a searchable discard enabler, that does not require a normal summon. So if you need a way to discard your Cerebral and you already used your normal summon, you could use Grimro to search for your Chawa, then you could discard Cerebral or your Ganashia. But if you discard Ganashia with Chawa, you could then special summon both to create Fabled Gudabi. Fabled Gudabi, if you have 0 cards in your hand, this card cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects, but if you have 3 or more cards in your hand, it dies during the end phase. So you need to be careful about that. Ms. Toji is a crappy card. Don't worry about him. He got replaced by Cerebral. In my YouTube review of Fabled before, I talked about Fabled requiring Cerebral and Fabled Ragin. You could literally watch the review. That's exactly what I say. Konami was listening, and they gave us Cerebral and Ragin. That's how we do it, boy. Nezuchi, I talked about this too earlier. I don't like this card so much because the 3 monster zone is too small to really make maximum use of this. It's similar to Chawa where you could search it if you need a discard outlet. You discard a card to special summon it. Then you could special summon a level 2 or lower from your hand, and the card you discard is probably special summoning also. So if your hand is Cerebral, Ganashia, and this, you could summon all 3 onto the field without even using a normal summon. But I think it's too situational. We don't like Pegasus. Pegasus special summons face down when discarded. These cards are reprinted, so that's very big of Konami to add reprinted cards to the game. So Arustos, whatever, and Diff. The only older cards that are relevant to the Fabled archetype, I believe, is Fabled Ganashia. Now, I'm about to show you my Fabled deck and some gameplay, but before I do so, I want to show you that there's other ways to play this deck. For example, KC Fool in the top player council is mixing it up with Dark Worlds. Here's an example of, you know, what's happening, what he's able to summon in a single turn, the level 8 and the level 7 in a single turn. You what, mate? He's also having hands like this, saying that, you know, it's pretty good. So there's multiple ways to play it, but here is my way to play it. Here is a deck list example of Fableds. I'm using Grimro to search a Fabled monster. This is just a proof of concept. I'm not telling you to build it exactly like this. I spent 0 time optimizing this or play testing. This is just to show off combos in a somewhat functional deck, okay? So Grimro to search for a Fabled monster. We have Snipe Hunter to discard our Ganashia and our Cerebral to summon them onto the field, and then this is a tuner. This is a non-tuner. It makes Ragin. We want to basically, this deck, you basically want to get Hey Trunade or Localized Trunade. Apparently it's called Localized Trunade. And you want to have Snipe Hunter to clear the field. You want Snipe Hunter to clear the field. You want Hey Trunade to send the back row back. And then you want to OTK with Snipe Hunter plus Fabled Ragin. But that's not enough damage, right? That's 3,800. I would play Tie That Binds. The Tie That Binds makes Snipe Hunter plus Ragin enough damage to win. Replay number 1. Okay, want to make sure we're in the right perspective. We got this hand. Now, ignore this up here. I'll show you that later. These aren't like real duels where I'm really like playing back and forth. I just want to show the combo. So I'll pretend like this card's a trap if I set it. Okay, so I turn 1, I pass because I don't, you know, this is like a turn 2 deck. So let's pretend like those 2 back row are traps, and that's a, you know, a monster that we want to deal with. So obviously, Hey Trunade, send that back, Snipe Hunter, destroy the monster, discard Ganashia, special summon Ganashia, use Grimro to search for Cerebral by discarding it to the graveyard, use Snipe Hunter effect to discard on that to discard Cerebral to special summon onto the field. And then we have Fabled Ragin. You want to set your Dark World dealings. Synchro Shokan for Ragin. Ragin, we're going to draw 2 cards. Thank you. We got 2 cards. Look at that. We have Cerebral and a Ganashia from the draw. We're going to discard with Snipe Hunter to try to destroy that face down again. Ganashia on the field. I'm going to use Snipe Hunter again to either destroy itself or Ragin, just for funsies, I destroy himself. I summon Cerebral on the field. Now we're going to summon a Fabled Ragin again, and we're going to draw 2 more cards. That's drawing 4 cards in a single turn. 4 cards in a single turn. Dark World dealings. Draw, discard Ganashia, special summon Ganashia. And then you activate Tie That Binds. That's a big boost. We got another Hey Trunade. Wham, bam. Thank you, ma'am. Let's look at another replay. All right, he sets. We always open Hey Trunade, apparently, or we would draw into it. Okay, we use Into the Void, return back. We're going to Dark World dealings, draw, discard Ganashia, special summon Ganashia. We are going to summon Snipe Hunter to discard Cerebral to make our Fabled Raging. Super easy. Now, the great thing about this is we failed with Snipe Hunter. Because we failed with Snipe Hunter, I was able to discard our other card in our hand to make sure we have 0 cards in our hand to ensure that Fabled Raging would be a draw 2. We draw 2, discard, and then that's lethal with Tie That Binds or Beatdown. Tie That Binds or Beatdown for the lethal. So that's kind of how this deck works. Just cycle through your deck, return their cards back to their hand, destroy everything with Snipe Hunter, trigger the effects. Let's look at another replay. Okay, yep. Look at this. This is kind of a different hand. We don't have our Yugioh here. So we're going to open up with Darkwill Dealings. Darkwill Dealings, draw, discard, special summon. We're going to discard Grimrow to search for another Fable, thin out the deck also. Very cool. Grimrow, we discarded to add a Fabled. Grimrow again. Now, Grimrow is not once per turn. Not once per turn, so thinning out that deck before we play our Darkwill Dealings. Very good. We have not normal summoned yet. We discard our Cerebral. Now, our idea is we want to get our hand size down to 0 so we could summon Fabled Raging and draw a bunch of cards. Darkwill Dealings, there's the Yugioh. Ganashia on the field. Yugioh all his cards back to the hand. Now we make Raging just for a draw 1. Whatever. Draw 1. We top deck a Snipe Hunter, by the way. We normal summon Snipe Hunter. We're going to use Snipe Hunter to destroy our own Fabled Raging. That's right. We're going to destroy Fabled Raging. Destroy Fabled Raging to summon Cerebral. We have 0 cards in hand. We're going to make Fabled Raging number 2. Fabled Raging number 2, draw 2. We have another Yugioh, discard to destroy. We have 2 discards to destroy. OTK with the Tie That Binds. Boom.